Hi there, I'm Christy. I am the book-loving half of this Etsy shop duo. Thank you so much for supporting our shop. We appreciate you choosing us as your mini book supplier. I'm here to help you make a book cover. So making book covers is a very easy to learn skill, no advanced knowledge of photo editing required, and you pick it up very quickly. So the first time you try, you might need to pause the video so you can do the actions required and then pick back up. But once you do it a couple times, you'll have it down no problem. So this is the page you'll land on when you make a purchase, and our socials and our shop is linked here in case you need to reach out with any questions. And also the print page is here for you as well. So when you're making your book covers, this is where you'll put them. So when you're ready to print, it's already set up for you. All the settings are listed here. And so you don't have to create a separate page for that. So when you're ready to start making book covers, you're simply going to open this template. And when you open the template, it's going to ask you to make a copy. So just make a copy of that so you can edit it. And when we get to the template, you have, again, all of our socials here, but then on the second page, this is where the video tutorial will be once I'm done making it. And over here on the right are all of the most commonly used websites to find book art, starting with the most used down to the least used. And then you have here your template that you need to make your magnet cover. And so to get started, we're just going to head to Google Images. And we're going to practice today with a Sarah J. Maas book, The House of Earth and Blood. And so I'm just going to type that in and then type in book cover. And usually the first result is an Amazon result. And so that's where I tend to get the book cover. I like to click on the actual picture on Amazon so that I get the biggest, highest quality version of the picture. So I'm just going to copy that over to my template. And I'm going to have to resize it. But rather than resizing it manually by dragging the corners, I'm going to do it in a way that ensures that it's the exact correct size. And so that is by using this button at the top here that says Format Options. And then over on the right side of your page, you'll then want to click on Size. And when you do that, now you can actually type in the correct size rather than guess. And so once I type in the correct size, I've got my cover. One thing you want to be careful of is that the box here that's marked, or that's called lock aspect ratio, you don't want that to be checked, because when you're sizing, it won't allow you to size with the dimensions that you want. So just make sure that's not checked. All right, once I get my book cover done, then I usually do the back cover. So I'm simply just going to instead type The House of Earth and Blood back cover. And sometimes you get lucky and you get a great image as the first result, like here. Other times it just depends on the book, but since we do have a great back cover image here, again from Amazon, I'm going to go ahead and use that. One thing you'll notice is that it doesn't have the barcode, so it just depends if that bothers you or not. For magnets, I don't tend to care so much that that's not there, because you're not really going to see the back cover that often anyways. So I'm just going to go ahead and resize it, just like we did the front cover. Now, the reason I'm not putting them into the boxes is because it's easier to put the spine first and then line up the other two around it. If you did care about the barcode, you could either just Google search like barcode and just use any barcode image and just put it there, or you can also find a different image of the back cover and crop out the barcode. Again, I'm not going to worry about that for today's tutorial. Then we need the book spine. So typically the book spine is the trickiest part. It just depends on how popular the book is really and how many options are going to be available. So I just kind of like to glance around. You can see here there's some that are actually stickers, so they're not really the book spine. So I want the one that looks like this. And in fact, this is a pretty great image here because it has two of the books in it. So if you were making the series, you would already have two of them right here. So I'm actually just going to go ahead and use this image. But one skill that's really handy when making book covers is when you have an image that you like, if you scroll down, Google will then suggest similar images to that image. And so sometimes you can end up finding an even better one that way. I don't like any of these better than the one that I have, so I'm just going to go ahead and use this one. So I'm going to paste that image over. And another very useful skill that you're going to use all the time is cropping, because we don't want this whole image, we just want the spine. So to crop, you simply click the crop button here, or you can just double click. When you double click on an image, it will bring up the crop edges, like the crop corners. And so then you can just drag those and just simply get them around the part that you want to keep. So I dragged them to just include the spine that I want. And so then I click outside the image and I'm left with the spine. So now all I have to do is size it just like I did the other two pieces. So I'm going to type in that size. And then now we're ready to line them all up. So I like to line up the spine first, because the great thing about Google Slides is that it will have these red lines pop up so that you know it's perfectly centered. So that way my spine is perfectly centered. So now I'm going to put my covers on either side of it, and I can see the red line going across and then also the red line lining up next to my spine. So that way I know that I have it perfectly lined up. And so now you've got your book cover. So now you just want to group it all together. And so I've created this box over here for you to save you some time. This is the outline. So that way it's easier when you go to cut. And so I'm just going to make a copy of this so that I can use it again later. And you'll see again that those red lines pop up when you've got it perfectly centered. So I want to make sure I have both red lines. And now I'm just going to group it all together. So to group it all together, just click and drag. And now you've got all the pieces highlighted, right click, and then you'll see this group option here. And so now you have a completed book cover with the outline ready to go. And so now, as you're creating book covers, you can simply just copy them over to your print page. So this is my first magnet I've created, and I'm going to go ahead and go back to my purchase document, and I'm going to use this print page that's already made for me. And it's already made as an 8.5 by 11, which is what makes it so nice. So I can just copy my magnet here. I like to leave a decent amount of margin. There's no exact science to it. It just kind of depends on your printer and just how close you're willing to cut it. But I tend to leave about 1/2 inch around each side. And so then as you're making your magnet covers, you will simply just drop them all here. And I like to actually line them up next to each other. And again, the red lines, as you can see, as I am copying these, the red lines tell me that I've got it centered. And so I like to fill my page with all of them touching like this. So obviously I wouldn't necessarily do all Crescent City like this unless I was, I don't know, doing like a book club gift. But once I have my page filled, so this is 21 magnet covers, and it's maximizing the space out perfectly. So this 21 covers is what perfectly fits on a page when it comes to magnets. And so again, the two red lines tell me that it's centered in both directions. So now I'm ready to print. And so the settings that you need are over here on the left. If you are using glossy paper, glossy sticker paper, which I recommend for best results, then you're going to want to use the glossy setting when you go to print. I have our paper linked here. It is super affordable. It's set right now at $7 for 25 sheets. So you can get hundreds of covers for that. You can also use regular printer paper. You would just have to apply it in some way. You can use Mod Podge or some other sort of glue. It's just a little more crafty and time intensive that way. And then simply just cut them out with scissors. So depending on the browser or computer you're using, your print settings might show up a little differently, but the three that we care about are scale, paper, and quality. So I'm going to go ahead and act like I'm printing this. So the first one is scale, and scale you just want to make sure is set to 100% or fit to paper, actual size. You just don't want the one that says fit to printable area because it will shrink everything. So I'm going to select actual size. I also do not need to print this first page in the document, so I could just tell it to print page 2 only, or I could simply delete that page out of the document. The other two settings I am going to change are paper and quality. And so you can see here paper type and quality. So if I was using glossy sticker paper, I would select one of these glossy ones. It doesn't really matter which one you select. I always select premium photo paper glossy, but that doesn't matter so much as long as you select glossy. And then I'm going to change quality to high. You can leave it as standard. It'll still turn out great. High just gives it that extra little boost of quality. So those are the two settings I'm going to change, and then I'm simply going to hit print. Once I print, then I'm ready to cut and apply the stickers. So you just repeat this process over and over. And again, if you run into any tricky situations, that's what this YouTube page here is for. It'll have tips and tricks videos. You can also reach out to me on Instagram. I love making book covers, so I'm glad to help. There are sometimes tricky situations you might run into depending on how popular the book is and how many images are available online. So again, have fun bookmaking. It's a very addictive hobby, and you'll get better and better the more that you do it. Thank you so much.